Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Natalia Moczulska, and this is the news. A brutal attack by Putin's troops. Barbarians fired on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Electricity and heat supplies were cut off. It's a massive blow to the ordinary people, and it comes at a time when temperatures in the east have dropped sharply. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says it's the biggest enemy attack on energy infrastructure since the war began. It's impossible to live without electricity and gas when it's already winter in eastern Ukraine. The Russian attack on energy infrastructure is in reality an attack on ordinary people, like the 75-year-old woman. We fled because there was no other choice. The electricity has been out for a long time, and now they've cut off the gas. Soon the city will be dead. This is what the Russian barbarians want: 93 missiles and more than 200 drones aimed at Ukraine's energy infrastructure. This is the largest attack on energy targets since the invasion began. 5 of Ukraine's 9 operating reactors had to reduce power as a result of the shelling. This is one of the most barbaric methods, but in this brutality, it is somewhat effective. These are obvious strikes that are also intended to intimidate the community and the public opinion. More than 300 strategic sites that provide heat and electricity to residents were targeted by Putin's troops, and all at a time when the first frosts have started. Protecting Ukraine and protecting our families is the most important task now. This is the only way to victory. We must effectively use Western weapons to deter aggressors from such hostile actions. The response to the brutal shelling of Ukrainian infrastructure was a night attack on a Russian arms depot near Novosibirsk. Ukraine will be helped by an additional package of weapons about to hit the front lines. The White House announced that it is launching a tranche that includes ammunition for air defense systems, drones, and armored vehicles.
It's the 72nd such drawdown package announced by the United States, and as the president made clear, we're going to continue to provide additional packages right up to the end of this administration.
Ukrainians are also waiting for more complex solutions, like the peace plan announced by U.S. President-elect Donald Trump.
We're going to have a tremendous run. We have to straighten out some problems, some big problems in the world. When we left, we didn't have any of these problems. We didn't have Russia with Ukraine. We didn't have Israel October 7th.
It's already day 1024 of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. President-elect Trump says it's high time to end the war. A year of rule by the new coalition government in Poland was marked by political revenge. In theoretically democratic European Poland, we have had political prisoners. The prime minister trampled on a presidential pardon without so much as a blink of an eye, and his appointees in the State Election Commission illegally stripped the largest opposition party of its subsidies. And all this within the framework of the fighting democracy. Exactly a year ago, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk took this oath. Upon assuming the office of Prime Minister, I solemnly swear that I will remain faithful to the provisions of the Constitution and other laws of the Republic of Poland. Unfortunately, it turned out that even the Prime Minister's oath does not apply. The constitutional right of clemency, a presidential prerogative never challenged in the past, was completely violated in the case of MPs Mariusz Kamiński and Maciej Wąsik. Let's recall, the politicians being guests of the presidential palace in the absence of Polish President Andrzej Duda were detained by the services and sent to prison.
Niech żyje nasza Polska! Niech żyje Polska! Niech żyje
The MPs went on a hunger strike in an act of protest. Polish President Andrzej Duda, in order to break the lawlessness, pardoned both politicians again. I also have no doubt that if someone is jailed, convicted and imprisoned for doing a service to the Polish state, for prosecuting corruption, including at the top of government, this does not please many people who hold prominent positions, today particularly prominent positions in Polish politics, and what we have seen in recent days is an eloquent testimony to this. Once the decision was made and it was clear that the deputies would go free, the court decided to force-feed Mariusz Kamiński through the probe, which was simply torture. I have had a problem since I was a child. I have an improperly shaped nasal septum, so they were not able to insert these probes through my nose, although they have tried several times. It was painful, extremely painful, physically speaking. In the end, they inserted about half a meter of a plastic tube into my esophagus. Months passed, and the government needed any kind of success to satisfy the most radical voters. A few days before Easter, the services breaking the law searched Zbigniew Ziobro's house. Zbigniew Ziobro, who is battling severe cancer, had to stop treatment and risk his health to come to the site. They wanted to organize a show, a spectacle, but it is a spectacle of thuggery and lawlessness for which certain people will someday bear responsibility. The search at the former minister's home is linked to the Justice Fund, through which Zbigniew Ziobro's ministry donated funds to volunteer fire departments or rural housewife circles, among others. Father Michał Olszewski was detained in this case on Holy Thursday, a special day for every priest. The Profeto Association, which he runs, received money to build a center for victims of violence called Archipelag. The priest's account shows that he was tortured. When we arrived at the detention center, I heard that there was nothing left at that hour, neither dinner nor water. I begged for half a bottle of tap water, which was given to me in a bottle that had been sitting empty in the cell. In the morning, when I asked to be led to the toilet, I was told, "You have a water bottle, piss into it." At the same time as the priest, two former Justice Ministry officials were detained, Ms. Urszula and Karolina. All three were released only in October after posting bail. The women, like Father Michał, were treated in an inhumane manner. The car to which I was led to was parked at the other end of the street and I was handcuffed. Why didn't they park near the house? I have no idea, but it was humiliating to have to walk to the other end of the street in handcuffs when all the neighbors were also awakened by this whole thing. What time was it? It was 6 in the morning. Political revenge does not only apply to individuals, but also to entire groups. The politicized State Election Commission has decided to strip Law and Justice of its electoral subsidy, which in the face of the presidential campaign could realistically affect the fate of the entire country. The Supreme Court ruled that it was an illegal decision, but experience teaches us that Donald Tusk's team disregards court decisions, citing the supposed restoration of the rule of law. Today, we have the need to act as a fighting democracy. All these lawless actions are disguised under beautiful words, such as democracy and rule of law. But in reality, it's just a way of twisting the meaning of these words. At a conference in September, the Prime Minister even compared Poland, ruled by law and justice, to Hitler's Germany, and recalled that it took the intervention of outside forces for democracy to return to Germany. I would not like us in Poland to ever find ourselves in such a situation that an external force is necessary to guarantee our constitutional order. It would be a tragedy. These words are dangerously reminiscent of the rhetoric of Wojciech Jaruzelski, who during the imposition of martial law also threatened that if the political party and the military did not clean up Poland, external intervention would be inevitable. As you can see, the December 13th coalition received such a name for a reason. The Israeli Prime Minister is calling for an uprising against the regime in Tehran. In an address to Iranians, he argues that a chain reaction is underway in the Middle East that could lead to the overthrow of Iran's leadership. Israel has been on the offensive in the territory of Syria for several days. According to analysts, Israeli troops have almost reached Damascus. 20 kilometers. According to observers, that's how far the furthest Israeli army troops are expected to be from the Syrian capital. A week ago, Israeli troops occupied the Golan Heights and the buffer zone. However, they didn't stop there. The army moved deeper into Syria. We will quickly put up a fence. We will guarantee protection and stop the growth of the tentacles of the Iranian octopus here in this place before they even start growing. This is nothing more than taking advantage of the chaos caused by the rebellion. There is basically no resistance in the areas occupied by Israel. The localities are mostly depopulated and without regional government. Alongside this, Israel is bombing military installations, warehouses, and airports throughout Syria.
Israel says the move is to protect its territory from the spillover of the chaos in Syria, but also says it's trying to prevent the insurgents in Syria from laying their hands on the military facilities and weapons in Syria.
The action targets Israel's main opponent in Tehran. The narrative regarding, from their perspective, the catastrophe in Syria is clear, of course. There should be no doubt that what happened in Syria is the result of a joint American and Zionist plan. For Israel, the offensive along the Syrian border is a major opportunity to cut off terrorist groups in Lebanon and Gaza from Iranian arms supplies. The main supply routes ran right through Syria. Israel is also trying to persuade Iranians to an uprising in their own country.
You know what this regime is truly terrified of? It's terrified of you, the people of Iran. And one day, I know that, one day this will change. One day Iran will be free.
It seems that such a possibility is being carefully examined not only by Israel, but also by the Americans. Given the near simultaneous visits to the Middle East by the U.S. National Security Advisor and the Secretary of State, it is clear that Washington also wants to seize the moment.
The balance of power in the Middle East has changed significantly, and not in the way that Sinwar or Nasrallah or Iran had planned. We are now faced with a dramatically reshaped Middle East in which Israel is stronger, Iran is weaker, its proxies decimated.
The problem is that the new rebel leadership in Syria does not necessarily want to fraternize with Israel or the United States. Many of the rebellion's leaders see the West as a bigger enemy than the very regime they had just overthrown. As experts point out, the potential threat from the new authorities in Damascus is far greater than that of the Assad regime. This does not mean at all that there will be no further negative consequences resulting from the Syrian turbulence for Europe or the United States in the form of, for example, further waves of illegal immigration or terrorist activities. Why, then, is there so much optimism precisely coming from Western leaders? It's primarily a matter of challenging the status quo around Syria, which under the Assad regime guaranteed influence to be shared between Moscow and Tehran. Whatever course the rebels take, it will be far from a strategic partnership with Washington's main adversaries. Although the world tries to tell us otherwise, the most important thing about the upcoming holidays is, of course, the birth of Jesus Christ. However, the mood that accompanies us in December and prepares us for Christmas is also extraordinary. This is due to various holiday things, including Christmas trees, illuminations, and, of course, ornaments. Decorating the Christmas tree together as a family is a tradition in many homes. Let's take a look at how a Christmas tree ornament factory in Poland contributes to making the magic happen. Wieliczka. This building looks rather inconspicuous from the outside, but inside it hides an unusual, colorful secret. This is an ornament factory, which we are happy to explore. This is the largest factory, at least in the south of Poland. Our production capacity is about 7,000 ornaments per month. And all handmade. Here you will find plenty of different ornaments, whatever your holiday spirit desires. Ornaments large and small, shiny, matte, transparent, colored, or covered with glitter. Glass wonders from this factory are shipped to many places around the world. They are conquering the U.S., among other countries. They have even made their way to the White House. They were also ordered by such celebrities as Al Pacino and Tom Hanks. A real ornament, by definition, should be made of glass, blown by a real glassblower, and hand-blown. Moreover, all the heart and passion should be poured into it. So let's see what path the Christmas ornament takes before it ends up on our Christmas tree. The first step is the work of the glassblower, who blows the shape out of the glass heated to a high temperature. To prepare more complicated shapes, these molds are used. Now it's time for the so-called silvering, and here, as you can see, a little magic. From a transparent ornament, it becomes silver. We pour two substances, silver nitrate and distilled water with glucose. The following process takes place during the soaking in hot water. The silver will stick to the walls of our ornament. This is a type of primer. All this is done so that the ornaments have a deep color. Now matting, that is, giving a specific color. After such a bath, the ornaments must dry in a special tunnel. And here is where they are decorated, meaning the application of all the colors, all the glitters, all the details on the ornament. This is the most important and also the most difficult stage. Now it's time for the final touches and precise decoration of the ornaments with, for example, diamonds or pearls. Check out these small masterpieces. We like our job very much. Christmas is basically all year round with us. It's colorful, glittery, and fun. At the end, quality checking and packaging. Now the ornaments will go to our homes and, of course, land on our Christmas trees. That's all for the news tonight. Thank you so much for joining us and have a wonderful evening.